Good day, everyone. My name is Miraflor Berial Gamayot, and I am the first reporter of Group 4. Our topic is about water quality and pollution. Water is a strange substance. We use it every day, too, for cleaning to prevent disease and death, and yet it causes death to millions all over the world when they use it. As described in chapter 7, water is very important commodity for human life and survival. We need to consume it to stay alive and use it clean our food, utensils, clothes, bodies, and surrounding to prevent disease. Yes, that's right. Every day we are going to use the water in our respective houses and home, especially into our food. If we are going to put our rice in our kettle, we're going to use water. So, in our to clean our utensils, clothes, and bodies, it is very important that we are going to use the water. That's why this chapter is devoted to the availability and quality of water. Yes, there you go. Water quality will be defined as the physical, chemical, and biological properties of water that impact its intended use. This definition recognizes that quality designation of any given water can vary depending on water purpose it's serving. Yes, that's right. In every water purpose, it will serve to us as a people here in the outside world that a single water body may have different quality designation depending on the intended uses. For instance, water considered good quality for fishing, it is necessarily good for swimming or drinking. It is for this reason that different regulations and standards have been created for the different water uses. These standards are created to ensure that there is no water shortage due to mismanagement, overuse, and contamination. That's right. If we are having our water quality, we are going to sure that it will not be mismanaged according to the use of the water. Next is water scarcity and shortage. What is scarcity and shortage? Water has been identified as one of the major environmental crises facing the world today. More than 1 billion people in the world lack access to clean drinking water. Yes, that's right. And every people and every person, especially in the mountain, we you can thought that it is a clean drinking water, but definitely if we are going to check our source, it is not really clean if we are not going to check it and clean every day and every month, depending when the demand of water has grown at a very fast pace in response to the rate of global population growth. Yes, therefore, we have here the figure 8.1 trends in population and freshwater withdrawals by source in 1990 2015. It illustrates this change in water use over time in the United States of America and US. It is predicted that over the next 2 decades, the average supply of water per person will drop by a third. When looking at the trends in the figures below, okay, you will notice some encouraging leveling off or slight drop use of recent days. Yes. This is the figure 8.1 trends in fresh and saline water withdrawals in response to population growth. In A, surface water withdrawals, and B is groundwater withdrawal. As you can see in the figure 8.1, there is much differences of it. Okay, let's proceed. Can you think of reasons for these observations? Okay. Both groundwater and surface water withdrawals had increased over time until 1980, when the withdrawals peaked and stabilized. Water withdrawals in the US show a major divide between the western and eastern parts of the country. The western part withdraws most of the water for agriculture, as these are the farm areas, while eastern half withdraws most of its water for thermoelectric, cooling, and industry. Yes, most there in the US, most of the water consistency or the used is in agriculture. There, there are much farm there that they are going to they use always water in the farm. In Figure 8.2, California and Texas account for over 20% of all water withdrawn. In fact, California consumes more water than is available within that state and is therefore forced to get water from the other states. Despite this deficiency, almost everyone in California has access to clean and safe drinking water. Contrast this to Lusaka, the capital city of Zambia, which has more water available than is withdrawn, but more than a third of its population has no access to safe drinking water. It is the figure 8.2 showing the US water withdrawals by category for the calendar year 2015. And we are going to proceed. Water scarcity and availability. When we are going to say availability, which is it is available always. Yes, there is enough fresh water on earth to supply every human being with enough drinking water. The main problem we face with regards to water is that it unevenly distributed, polluted, mismanaged, and wasted. Yes, this is very true. Even when we are in the farm, in the remote areas, most especially, we are the water is not evenly distributed to us. That's why we have the water is mismanaged and it is wasted. Yes. Tony Allen, the author of Virtual Water, asserts the water follows money. This refers to the fact that rich countries and societies with more money and affluence have more access to safe drinking water. Even when they live in regions without such much water, it also means that areas with large supplies of water can still have water scarcity. If they lack the financial resources and infrastructure to supply people with clean and safe drinking water, water scarcity is caused by the demand for water or certain quality being greater than the supply. Scarcity can be defined as either physical scarcity or economic scarcity. If we are going to say physical water scarcity, it is a situation where there is an actual shortage of water. Regardless of quality or infrastructure, it is estimated that about 1.2 million people around the world are experiencing physical water scarcity. And if we are going to say economic scarcity, it is a condition where countries lack the financial resources and or infrastructure to supply their citizens with reliable, safe drinking water. And it is about 1.6 billion people are experiencing economic water shortage. Most of them live in less industrialized countries. For a lot of places in the world, scarcity is a transient condition that can be reduced or eliminated by installing the right infrastructure. The major problem in less industrialized countries is the lack of political, financial, and physical structures to provide water to everyone. A few rich people in these countries get the clean water, while the majority of the people who cannot afford to pay for it are left out. This is very true especially um, in the highway area. Um, without if we don't have money to buy clean water, um, it is very hard to understand about it. Most especially it is experienced by the people there at the city. While in the remote area, we are going to we can we really um, experience this, but when we are not really experience the shortage of water, because the water in the remote areas, especially here in the mountain, in the farm, is very um, cheap. We can afford it very well. But if we are going to go to the city, if we don't have money, if we are not rich, we can't even buy a clean water, while the majority of the people who cannot afford to pay for it are left out. Yes, that's very true. Example of such communities include many villages in Africa, Asia, and South America. There is in figure 8.3 shows communities in Southeast Kenya that are experiencing severe water shortages from primarily due to lack of infrastructure coupled with physical scarcity. Women and children in these communities must walk long distances to get untreated and contaminated water for drinking and other household needs. As for us, we can experience like this, but in the farm, in the mountain, we are sure that our water is in quality and it is clean after all. In figure 8.3, communities to Southeast Kenya without easy access to safe drinking water. As you can see in the top left, groundwater in the area is too salty for consumption. As you can see in the top right. Maasai women in Ambosay National Park collecting water from a wetland. You can see it in the bottom left. And woman in Magwadi village in SE Kenya walking long distance to get water from a kiosk. As you can see, it is in the bottom right.
I'm Princess Miberial Panuga. I'm the next reporter. Our next topic is water pollution. Water pollution is a major problem facing many of our surface and groundwater sources. Contamination can both be natural due to geologic or meteorological event and anthropogenic or human causes. Human sources of contamination can be categorized as either point source or non-point source. Point source pollution. Point source pollution is a water pollution coming from a single point, such as sewage outflow pipe. Non-point source or NPS pollution. Non-point source pollution is pollution discharged over a wide land area such as agriculture runoff and urban stormwater runoff, not from one specific location. Non-point source pollution contamination occur when rainwater, snowmelt, or irrigation washes off flood fields, city streets, or suburban backyards and carry pollutants into the water sources. As this runoff moves across the land surface, it picks up soil particles and pollutants, such as nutrients, metals, and pesticides. Types of water pollution. Contamination of water resources comes in a form of chemical pollution, biological pollution, and physical pollution. Chemical pollution includes things such as toxic metal, organic compounds, acidic waters from mining activities and industry, pharmaceuticals, and many other chemical compounds from industries and wastewater treatment plants. Another forms of chemical pollution is radioactive waste, which has a significant potential to cause harm to living things. Most of radioactive pollution comes from agricultural practices such as tobacco farming, where radioactive phosphate fertilizer is used. Physical pollution. Physical pollution includes sediment pollution, trash thrown in the water bodies, thermal temperature, and other suspended load. High temperatures typically affect the metabolism of aquatic fauna in a negative way and can encourage eutrophication. Biological pollution. Biological pollution usually refers to a pathogenic bacteria, viruses, and parasite protozoa. Common pathogenic microbes introduced into natural water bodies are pathogens from untreated sewage or surface runoff from intensive livestock grazing. Biological pollution is a common cause of illness and death in less industrialized countries where population density, water scarcity, and inadequate sewage treatment combine to cause widespread parasitic and bacterial diseases. Sources of surface water pollution. Surface water pollution can come from a variety of sources and includes an extensive list of chemical compound, mixtures, and elements. Below is a short description of some of these sources and impacts of a few pollutants.
Evening everyone, my name is Ravena Saloy Silomakang and I will be presenting the Water Quality and Pollution, Chapter 8. Types of water pollution. Contamination of water resources comes in the form of chemical, biological, and physical pollution. Chemical pollution includes things such as toxic metals, organic compounds, acidic waters from mining activities and industry, pharmaceuticals, and many other chemical compounds from industries and wastewater treatment plants. Another form of chemical pollution is radioactive waste, which has a significant potential to cause harm to living things. Most of radioactive pollution comes from agricultural practices such as tobacco farming, where radioactive phosphate fertilizer is used. Physical pollution includes sediment pollution, trash thrown in the water bodies, thermal, and other suspended load. High temperatures typically affect the metabolism of aquatic fauna in a negative way and can encourage eutrophication. Biological pollution usually refers to pathogenic bacteria, viruses, and parasitic protozoa. Common pathogenic microbes introduced into natural water bodies are pathogens from untreated sewage or surface runoff from intensive livestock grazing. Biological pollution is a common cause of illness and death in less industrialized countries where pollution density, water scarcity, and adequate sewage treatment combine to use widespread parasitic and bacterial disease. Chapter 8.4.2 Sources of surface water pollution. Surface water pollution can come from a variety of sources and includes an intensive list of chemical compounds, mixtures, and elements. Below is a short description of some of these sources and impacts of a few pollutants. Chapter 8.4.2.1 Chemical pollution. Most of the common inorganic chemical water pollutants are produced by non-point sources mainly intensive agriculture and activities from urban areas. Specific or inorganic chemicals are the major sources are ammonium nitrate and a host of related phosphate and nitrogen compounds used in agricultural fertilizers. Heavy metals present in urban runoff and mine tailings area runoff. However, some inorganic contaminants such as chlorine and related derivatives and produced from point sources ironically employed in water treatment facilities. Moreover, some of the large discharges of heavy metals at the aquatic environments are fixed points industrial plants. High concentrations of nitrogen and phosphorus in water can cause eutrophication. You can see this whenever you notice the greenish tint of the water in your local streams and rivers during low flow times, or if you have ever seen a grain farm pond. These nutrients are primarily coming from treated wastewater being dumped in mainly rivers from sewage plants. Another source of high nutrients are agricultural areas where farmers allow livestock direct access to streams and ponds, urban and suburban areas where there is intense fertilizer application for aesthetics, public and private landscapes where fertilizers run off. Increased supply of nutrients into an aquatic system leads to alterations of a primary production from low to high. Algal blooms are natural events and all algae can bloom. Cyanobacteria are not always harmful, but can produce toxins when conditions allow. The frequency at which conditions for toxic algal blooms occurrence have become common lately in coastal areas of the U.S. Harmful algal blooms are possible under prolonged sunlight in summer, high surface water temperatures, and when water stays static in the presence of fertilizer runoff from the surrounding areas. When a bloom occurs, it can be difficult to identify whether or not it is toxic. If you see dead fish, it is probably toxic. The nitrogen and phosphorus acts as fertilizer in the water and promote algae blooms. As the algae die, they are decomposed by aerobic bacteria in the water. These bacteria are used up to oxygen in the water, and the low dissolved oxygen levels can result in fish kills, where large numbers of fish and other aquatic life die because of suffocation. The dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico is a huge area of low too that has a large negative impact on the fishing industry along the Gulf Coast near the mouth of the Mississippi River. The dead zone occurs annually when fertilizers from the farm fields in the Midwest was down the Mississippi River. The dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico 2017 showing the watershed of the Mississippi River. Improper storage and use of automotive fluids produce common organic chemicals causing water pollution. These chemicals include methanol and ethanol, gasoline and oil compounds such as octane, nonocane. Most of these are considered non-point sources since their pathway to water courses is mainly over land flow. However, leaking underground and above ground storage tanks can be considered point sources from the source of these chemicals and even more toxic organic compounds such as polypropylene, grease, and fats. Can be either point or non-point sources depending upon whether the restaurant releases grease into the wastewater collection system or disposes of such organic or on or exterior ground surface or transports to large landfills. Shows a summary of a common chemical pollutants and resources. Chapter 8.4.2.2 Physical surface water pollution. The most significant physical pollutant is excess sediment in runoff from agricultural plots, clear-cut forests, improperly graded slopes, urban streets, and other poorly managed lands. Other physical pollutants include variety of plastic refuse products such as packaging materials. The most pernicious of these items are ring-shaped objects that can trap as strange fish and other aquatic fauna in our rivers, lakes, and oceans. Oceans house many forms of living things that uniquely adapted to survive in the salty habitats. Unfortunately, humans have degraded oceans through pollution, overfishing, carbon dioxide, acidifications, and resource exploitation. Other common physical objects are timber/debris, waste paper, and cardboard. Finally, power plants and other industrial facilities that cause natural water bodies for cooling can cause thermal pollution in surface water. Thermal pollution can change the ecology of the water bodies and harm living things. This warm water discharge is usually only used for cooling in the plant and does not contain other contaminants. Chapter 4.2.3 Biological pollution. Common biological pollutants include pathogenic microbes such as bacteria, viruses, protozoa, and helminths. The most frequently encountered bacteria are E. coli, Shigella, Vibrio, cholerae, Campylobacter, and species of the genus Salmonella. Common viral pollutants include the Norwalk virus, enteroviruses, adenoviruses, and hepatitis, while protozoans are dominated by G. lamblia and species in the genus Cryptosporidium. All these are fecal oral root parasites often transmitted as water pollutants and are associated with etiquette sanitation. They originate from virus sources that include sewage treatment facilities, animal fecal waste, leak, septic tanks, and recreational areas such as swimming pools. In addition, we also have parasitic worms and amoeba that live inside fauna digestive systems for part of their life cycle that are partially spread as water pollutants, which an estimated 3 billion people currently affected globally. These parasites are transmitted into the water by direct contact of human fecal water in swimming pools and from untreated sewage. That's all.
Good day, my name is Lexi Joy M. Mayanta from Loibalay Cluster. Today, we will discuss groundwater pollution. Surface is not only a water source that can get contaminated by pollutant. Underground water can also be contaminated from both natural and anthropogenic source of pollution. Groundwater contamination can from natural source and human activities. Common pollutant, iron, toxic chemicals, pesticides and fertilizers from farmers and loans, bacteria from septic tanks and waste disposal sites. It shows pollutant move through different soil zone and affect groundwater. Water management. Water management aims to monitor, control, and improves water quality through proper land use, pollution control, and urban planning. Monitor water quality. Land management practices. Preventing pollution from spreading out sources. Pollution from mines and quarries. Prevent rapid runoff and design safe mining operation. Urban storm water management. Design cities to reduce runoff and flooding using permeable surface. There are two water management approaches. Voluntary watershed management, a community effort to manage the land and protect water. Second, regulatory, backed by the laws like Clean Water Act. Enforce rules to reduce pollution and protect water quality. Let's protect our groundwater from cleaner, safer future. Thank you. Good day, everyone.
Environmental Science. Topic: A closer look at the Clean Water Act. Introduction. What is the Clean Water Act? U.S. federal law passed in 1972. Purpose: to restore and maintain the chemical, physical integrity of the nation's waters. Regulates pollution in rivers, lakes, and waterlands. Foundation of water perfection in the U.S. Key features of the CWA. Number 1. Controls the discharge of pollutants into water. Number 2. Requires permits for wastewater and stormwater. Number 3. Protect navigable waters and wetlands. Establish water quality standards for each states. Support funding for treatment plants. Impact and successes. Many rivers and lakes are how cleaner. Example: Chesapeake Bay and Great Lakes improvements. Reduce industrial waste in water bodies. Promoted awareness and citizen involvement. Encourage better wastewater infrastructure. Challenges and criticism. Challenges and criticisms. Some pollution sources are still unregulated, non-point source pollution.
Hello everyone. Again, I am Miraflor Brial Gamayot. I am the last reporter. This is my second topic, a closer look at the Clean Water Act. Yes, what is the Clean Water Act? Clean Water Act was an overhaul of the 1948 Federal Pollution Control Act. The current regulation includes numerous programs for water quality improvement and protection. The EPA works with its federal, state, and tribal regulatory partners to monitor and ensure compliance with the clean water laws and regulations. In order to protect human health and environment, the Clean Water Act is the primary federal law governing water pollution. One of the objectives of the CWA was to restore and maintain the integrity of the nation's physical, chemical, and biological water's quality. The ultimate goals of the Act are to establish zero pollutant discharge as well as fishable and swimmable waters in the country. One main component of the CWA is regulations on industrial and municipal discharges into navigable U.S. waters. The act is designed to be a partnership between states and the federal government. The federal government set the agenda and standards, while the state carries out the implementation of the law. States also have the power to set standards that are more stringent than the federal standards if needed. Under the CWA, discharge into U.S. water is only legal if authorized by a permit. Perpetrators of the law can be punished using administrative, civil, or criminal charges. The second component of the Act is providing funding for constructing municipal wastewater treatment plants and other projects to improve water quality. Title II and Title VI. The Act covers both point sources, discharge from sources such as pipes, and non-point sources, pollution from diffuse sources such as stormwater runoff. Point sources are explicitly covered under Section 402, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination, using under Section 402 National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. This section requires industries and municipalities to get permits from the EPA before discharging into U.S. waters. The permits require the use of control technology to reduce and prevent pollution. Key features of the CWA: regulates industrial and municipal charges, requires permit for discharge in DPS Section 402, applies to navigable U.S. waters. It covers point sources, pipes, ditches, and non-point sources runoff. How does CWA works? Partnership between federal and state governments. Federal, its standards states implement. States can enforce stricter standards. Violator face administrative, civil, or criminal penalties. Funding and support. Title II and Title VI provide funding for municipality wastewater treatment plants, water quality improvement project. Next is water quality assessment. To effectively utilize the tools described above for water management, a series of water quality parameters are measured or monitored in Table 8.2. On the right side, there you as you can see, the parameters, and this is the methods and instruments. These are physical, chemical, or biological parameters that typically have a set maximum or minimum standard that is used as a benchmark for determining whether the quality of the water is good or poor. These standards are set of measurable or observable characteristics that are established by a recognizable body, agency, or authority such as the World Health Organization, any national, state, local, or tribal environmental protection agency, or the government. These authorities use the scientific method to decide what the safe limits are for different contaminants. They also constantly keep testing or monitoring and continually adjusting this standard as more data or evidence becomes available. Testing methods, colorimetry. Colorimetry. Colorimetry measures color changes from chemical reactions. Stoichiometry uses titration to find neutral points. Ion electrodes detect ion concentrations. Chromatography separates substances for analysis. In conclusion, the CWA protects U.S. water through regulation and monitoring. Permits and penalties help control pollution. Water quality is assessed using science-based methods. The goal is to ensure clean, safe, and sustainable water for all. And this is the end of our report in Group 4. Once again, I am Mira Flor Burial Gamayot, and thank you so much.